there's a lot of misinformation out there, and this is information directly from distributors that we've talked to. This particular distributor told me the exact numbers of how many Stellar Crown versus
Oh,
Surging Sparks they got.
wow.
And he told me about the meeting with Pokemon and the big distributors. Pokemon, they decided to print less of Surging Sparks, not anticipating this bull market. And in the future,
All right.
all right.
Welcome back to episode 7 of Pokey SMP podcast. It's been a while, but we are finally back. Today, we're going to be talking about the bull market in 2024 that is reminiscent of the 2020 pandemic. Jesse, do you want to give us a little insight on like the overview of what we're going to be talking about today?
Of course. I just want to talk about the how to navigate a bull market, because Pogi-san and I, we've been through multiple bull markets before, and this is a cyclical market, just like every other industry, every other asset class. So there's certain ways that certain measures that we can take to avoid FOMO and buying the products that we actually want, and there's certain types of mentalities that we want to really avoid. So we want to talk about specific things like what to buy and what not to buy and what buying prices are, but also just like the financial and investment principles that you should take in buying in a bull market. And again, this is a cycle. It's going to happen over and over again. This is not going to be the last bull market. It's not the first one. The market will encounter a downtrend at some point. It will normalize, and then we'll have a market that's not so hot, just like 2022, 2023. And then you got to avoid thinking once you're in a bull market, it's like this stuff is going to go up forever. The ship has sailed for me. I'm telling you, the ship will come back to you at some point, right? And that's the most important thing you got to remember. This market condition will not stay forever. It will always be cyclical. And you also want to avoid the second there is a downturn, you're like, oh, Pokemon's dead. It's over. It's never going to happen again. A lot of people are saying that in 2022, right? Like, it's like, oh,
Yeah.
it crashed. It's done. It's over. Let's move on. If you
Yeah.
truly like Pokemon, there's a way to navigate the bull market, and you can still enjoy the hobby. A lot of people get really emotional during these times because they can't afford to buy the sets that they want anymore, or they can't afford to buy certain cards, or like they wish they could have bought more before the bull market started. It has started, and there's nothing you can do to stop it at this point. So might as well enjoy it and find gaps in the market where you can put your money into and buy things that you truly enjoy.
Yeah. I mean, you have the crazy spikes in the Sword and Shield alternate arts and the 151 SIRs, plus the crazy high demand in Surgeon and Sparks, and we're going to talk all about that. And then there's the Prismatic Evolution reveal that blew everyone away. So I think, the new Evolution SIR plus the Master Ball Reverse is going to crank up the FOMO meter all the way to the
Yeah.
top. And
Yeah.
Team Rocket will take everything beyond the moon. So it's
Yeah.
very exciting for the market right now.
Yeah. It's exciting times for sure.
Super exciting. I'm
Um,
excited.
should we start with talking about 151 and kind of like where that's headed?
Yeah. So let's pull up 151.
So I think the way good investors or business people think is you have to find historical trends and find kind of like a good comparable to what happened to previous sets that's similar to 151 and similar market conditions as well. I think we can draw a direct parallel from Hidden Fates back in 2019. And 151 again at release, just like Hidden Fates, is very highly desirable set. Like, people love the set. There's so many people that came in because of 151, and Hidden Fates is actually a set that CJ and I came back into the hobby with in 2019. So it kind of acted similarly, but I do think 151 is overall a stronger set than Hidden Fates, just because of That's the first time they reprinted every Pokemon in Generation 1, and there's just so many people that came in with 151. There's a lot of organic growth in that aspect, but you can draw very similar parallels with the release of Hidden Fates being very highly desirable when it released in 2019. But then in 2020, after the pandemic boom, it really went up to around $250 to $300 in ETB, and that's where 151 is headed right now. Even with the Costco restocks, you see ETBs upwards of like $100, and then the ultra premium collection now hitting around 200, which is absolutely insane. Because a couple of weeks ago you could have bought them for like $100 in Costco, and people were not buying them, like they were sitting there.
Yeah.
So it's very similar with Hidden Fates, where a year after its release, it had this crazy jump in a bull market. All of a sudden, everyone was trying to buy it. I don't know if you remember Hidden Fates, but it was really insane in 2020.
I
Like
couldn't get it. I couldn't
everyone
get it
wanted to
for
get it.
MSRP. Yeah.
And then what happened was Pokemon printed that set to the ground. Like they printed it like absolutely crazy. Like that's one of the highest printed sets ever, and that's what 151 is heading to. It's being printed into the ground, and there's a lot of them out there that are being held by speculative investors, or what does it mean, speculators, or some people call them scalpers, but I mean everyone has a different definition, so we're not really going to go there. But I personally think we're going to see a similar trend with 151 now hitting new heights. It's going to stay there for a little bit. I really think in the next year or two, there's not going to be much growth beyond this point, just because of how heavily printed it is and how many people are stashing away 151 in their basement. I'm not saying it's going to go down to like MSRP or below. I don't think it'll ever get there, but some correction is in place, in my opinion, in the next few months. And in the next year or two, it would see some stagnation, just like what Hidden Fates went through in 2022 and 2023. It's now just starting to see another growth. If you look at the Hidden Fates ETB
Mm-hmm.
graphs. So I do think for 151, if somebody wants to buy 151, I would say like maybe wait for a few months, and you will see people move on from that set to get Surging Sparks, Prismatic Evolutions, and also the Team Rocket set. And when that happens, this set will cool down a little bit. But at the very least, I don't think you're gonna see another spike where it goes from like $200 a UPC to like 400. That's just not realistic. There's way too many of those out there. What are your
Yeah.
thoughts?
Yeah. Well, it was a really good deal for us in the US because essentially the UPC were so cheap to I think they were like less than 100 actually. And
Yeah.
so it was a super good pickup and you would have doubled your money. But I think it's going to stay stagnant from the $200 price point.
Mhm.
Um just because I think there's going to be another reprint or a new product
Yeah,
packet
there's a new
repackaged into a
product
new
coming in
product
February. Yeah, that's already
in
confirmed.
in February. So they're going to continue to print, but not like um of like a UPC. It's just all speculation at this point. So I think yeah, they will continue to print, and it would make sense because it's a high demand set, and a lot of
Mhm.
people want to open it. It's just so expensive for a lot of people right now to spend what 10 to $12 to rip open a pack.
Mhm.
That's super pricey, and I feel like Pokemon will try to step in and help with that situation. But I
Yeah,
know you.
well, yeah, let's we can pull this slide up. I actually don't think Pokemon gives too much attention to like the secondary market, unless it's like when it comes to playability, like playables. Like if a set contains playable cards and then the players don't have access to it, I feel like they will really print that a lot. But in terms of like people tripping over each other at Costco, I don't think Pokemon cares about it that much. But the reason why I think there's so much parallel with Hidden Fates is because 151 is going to be printed to the ground just like Hidden Fates. Just the print run is going to be huge. They've already reprinted the set multiple times, and looks like there's going to be a new product in February. You're right, like UPCs probably won't be printed. At least nothing's confirmed, but there's already like huge quantities out there that I don't think it has the legs to get up to maybe $200 for the ETB and 300-400 for the UPC. Like, we might be wrong, but I just don't
Yeah.
think there's enough people that want to buy that set at those prices. So I don't think there is a huge urgency for anyone to buy 151 at the current prices. If you can, but there's the other way to look at it too. If you're holding on to like the $80 price point for the UPC from 3 months ago, and you're like, oh, I missed out, I'm gonna wait for it to get down to that point. It's never gonna go down to that point. You have to accept it. If you don't buy it if let's say you can buy $130 to $150, I think that's a really good buy right now. And you should just like forget about what happened before. It's already happened. Like, you just gotta
Yeah.
make the best decision for what you have right now. So if you can get it for like a decent discount, like 70% market price for TCG player, I think it's still a good buy. But there's no point in trying to like buy a bunch at $200 plus, in my opinion. And this is
No.
the slide. We made the slide because I saw this comment on Reddit. I kind of cropped out his name, so we're not putting anyone on blast. But this is an overarching theme that I kind of want to talk about, and you can apply this not just on your Pokemon purchases, but also in life. And this is one of the things that separates successful people from people that are less successful, and that's never get stuck in a victim's mentality, right? So if we read this comment, I'm just over here wondering if I'll ever get a pack of 151 cheaper than $12 each, like they are on Amazon. I haven't even bought any yet, because if I do manage to scrounge the extra money together for the packs, I'd rather get 2 or 3 of the other set for the price of 151. Hey, like the last part I kind of agree with. But the first part, you're talking about you've never bought any 151, and now you're like sitting here wondering if you're like over here wondering if you'll ever get a pack of 151. That means you're implying that you really want the set. But what we want to talk about is 151 was very affordable until 2 months ago. You could have bought one for an average cost of like $5 a pack from like these $80 ETBs, all the way up until I would say like July or no, like probably September, maybe like 2 months ago, right?
Yeah.
So if you didn't buy it when it was affordable then, you don't really want to buy it now. Like, you just want to buy it now because it's hyped up. So I feel like one way to navigate the bull market is, before you make any purchases, ask yourself, did I buy any of this stuff before it was expensive? And if you didn't, most likely you didn't want it that much anyway. So you shouldn't be buying something because of the hype. You should be buying something because you want it. And let me tell you, for this person that's posting on Reddit, if you didn't buy 151, if you didn't even buy a single pack of 151 until this point, you absolutely shouldn't be buying at current prices, right? If you've been buying 151 slowly over the time, and then you're like, oh, I don't want to miss out on this set because I love this set, I want to buy more. I think that's a good reason to buy more, right? Because you wanted it. But how people lose a lot of money during these bull markets is going out there to buy whatever is hyped up, like whatever
Yeah.
the YouTubers are talking about, the thumbnails, right? The crazy thumbnails of 151 going up, or prismatic evolutions going up, like similar. I'm not like saying we're not guilty. We're all guilty, but
Yeah. I mean, some of these people are just new collectors, new hobbyists that doesn't know any better, and they just watch YouTube and take it at face value, and that is what it is. If there's
yeah,
arrows going up, the mentality behind it is probably buy to kind of
yeah,
hop on that FOMO train. But
yeah,
again, people don't like it when things are cheap, and just in general, like people don't like it when it's cheap, and people don't buy in at its low. So that can be problematic for
yeah,
people to have to pay a big markup later on because they
yeah.
didn't buy it at the low.
Well, at the very least, have some self-awareness not to complain about it after you missed out on it, because it's not
Yeah,
anybody
true.
else's fault. You're not a victim here. Like, you are the culprit. You didn't buy it when it was affordable. That's on you. Right?
Right.
That's what I'm
Ex-
trying to say, like, stop acting like a victim, like it's everybody else's fault. There's a reason why some people are always, like, always complaining about, like, "Hey, like, I'm losing money on this product. I missed out on this." Hey, like, you didn't want it when it was cheap, like you said. You only wanted it because it's hyped up now, and that brings us to the second point. There's so many products that are being left out of the hype train that are tremendously like great sets, like Crown Zenith, Crown Dam, Fates, and the Japanese equivalent, Shiny Chargers EX, like we talked about before. These are excellent sets, and both of these sets are on par in terms of opening experience as 151, in my opinion. And you can still get these products at or around MSRP. I believe Crown Zenith is still at MSRP. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you can find them at these Costco's where people are tripping over themselves to grab the 151s. Buy some
yeah,
Crown Zenith. That's still very affordable and very, very easy to find because that set is going to be long term remembered as one of the best sets of all time, in my opinion, because of the art.
the artwork
And
are amazing. Yeah. I
yeah,
think the ETBs are about 60, but I think Sam's Club was dropping some of their special collection boxes. And so I think they're still being actively placed on the market for, a good price where you could
yeah,
jump in and grab some before it
yeah.
uh, depletes.
Exactly. So there's so much product around that's affordable for an average collector. And when we say average collector, it's like people that are buying stuff at an average pack cost of like let's say $4 to $5. I feel like that's a reasonable price for a pack. If you think anything over $4 is not affordable, then like adjusted for inflation, Pokemon packs are a lot more expensive back in 1999 than it is now because it was always $3 a pack um 30 years ago. So, I mean, it should have been a lot higher in my opinion. Like it's the pack costs adjusted for inflation actually have gone down. So there really is no reason for people to complain about the prices. There's only a few sets, like I mentioned right now, that's like going up, that's out of reach, that's out of stock, and that's 151. Obviously, Surging Sparks that's coming up that we're going to talk about, Prismatic Evolutions. But at current times, you can still buy a bunch of very affordable sets that are really, really good. So look into those ones and not so much the ones that we have in our title screen right now. That's my advice. What do you think?
Yeah. So right now, don't buy 151 is
Yeah,
basically what we are trying to say because it's at its all-time highs. You already missed a boat. It's okay to miss the boat. It's fine. Everything is going to be okay. And so I think if you want to get in at a good price point right now, the sets to look for are Crown Zenith.
yeah. Yeah, there's also like even how they evolve. A lot of people are saying that set's getting expensive. I mean, it's still in its what is it, like 130 or 140 or something. Still it's still below MSRP. People don't realize MSRP for Scarlet Violet it's like 161 or something, I think.
Yeah. In the
Right? So
US.
so I mean, you're still buying stuff at below MSRP.
Yeah.
And there's still so many sets that are below MSRP that are very worth opening and provide the same amount of enjoyment as you were to open like some of these super hyped up sets. So there's a lot of sets that you can buy for a good price and honestly look within yourself. Don't buy something because it's hyped. Buy something because you want it. And like I said, one of the main indicators that you can use is did I buy this set before it got expensive? If
Right.
the answer is no, then just don't buy it now. I think that's a really good indicator, right? If it was $4 a pack and you didn't buy any, what makes you think you actually wanted to buy it for what it is now that it's $10 a pack? Right? So I feel like that's a pretty good indicator and a pretty good way to kind of remind yourself. It's like, hey, maybe I didn't want that 151 as bad as I thought I wanted. Maybe I didn't care about the Sunzard. Maybe I didn't
The
care
Suns.
about
Love it.
the Moonbryon. So well, okay,
Well, I think, they're gonna reprint 151. They're gonna print more packs for
yeah,
sure. So you can just wait and be patient and
yeah,
hop on that train when it's cheap.
yeah, and wait for
Uh,
the February set.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, not the set, but the collection box, because I'm pretty sure you can get those at MSRP. It's going to be pretty available. I know people that are seal collectors want to collect only the ETBs and UPCs, but if you're talking about like price per pack, buy the collection boxes for sure, because those ones you can rip for like four or $5 a pack again. And it's again that's an opportunity that you can wait for, and I suspect by February, people are going to be so preoccupied with prismatic evolutions, that and surging sparks still, that people are going to be less inclined to spend all their money on 151 like they did in the last couple of months.
Yeah. Well, speaking of Surgeon Sparks has been a crazy high demanded set because I just see a lot of people making videos and contents about Surging Sparks going out of stock and the prices are, increasing. The demand is just through the roof. And yeah, so what do you think about the pre-order box being at literally MSRP right now?
So I think this is something that people think it's never happened before, but it did happen around 2020, 2021. I remember very vividly, no pun intended, vivid
Oh,
voltage
are you
in
gonna
my
tell?
case.
I knew you were.
Yeah, but because that was the beginning of CJ and I's shop. This was like
Yeah.
end of 2020, I think. I remember we got an allocation of one booster box with vivid voltage.
From your distributor?
Yeah, from our distributor because we
One
just
booster box?
started our account. We're like, "What?" In my
Hey,
head, like,
one case or one booster
no,
box?
one booster box. This is crazy. It's
What?
during the pandemic, right? So,
Oh
I
my gosh.
remember I was just like everybody else on the internet, I thought distribution is a magical place where there's infinite amount of product for wholesale for retail, shops to buy. That was not the case. So when I was talking to our distributor, I was like, "Hey, we got the shop now, right? Brick and
Yeah,
mortar location, like you mentioned.
right?
How many cases of Vivid Voltage are we gonna get?" He's like, "Not that much." So in my head, I was like, "Not that much, like 4 or 5 cases?
Yeah.
What are you talking about?" He's like, looked at my numbers, you're getting one. I was like, "Damn, you're only giving me one case? That's crazy. How's that gonna work? We're gonna rip one case in one night." He's like, "No, no, no, no. I'm not giving you one case, one
Oh
booster
my
box."
god.
Yeah, so I was like, "That's
Okay,
crazy."
I gotta ask, how much did they charge you for that one booster box? One measly
So
booster box?
one booster box for Vivid Voltage. I still have the invoice and receipts to prove this. So for
Yeah.
that one booster box, we did get it at wholesale, which is I think at the time 95 USD or so.
Uh-huh.
Uh, but the crazy thing is,
Mhm.
2 months after release, I don't know if you remember this, Vivid Voltage went way up. So
Yeah,
we bought 6 booster box cases because we had no product left from
yeah.
distribution at 268 Canadian, which is at the time just over 200 USD from distribution for Vivid Voltage, right? It's still at like what 150 now. We paid 200 a box from distribution. Um, I'll find the invoice and I'll send it to you so you can overlay it. But that's how crazy
200 for
200.
Vivid Voltage from a
Yeah, from
distributor?
distributor. Yeah, yeah,
That
that's
is
right.
some crazy that is yeah.
Yeah, I'll show my receipts. I'll find that invoice and I'll send it to you. That's the crazy part. So this has happened before. But what happened to Vivid Voltage? They reprinted that set like crazy. And
Yeah.
it stayed well below MSRP for the longest time.
It's
But
so
I'm not
stagnant.
saying, yeah, I'm not saying Surging Sparks is like that because it does
No.
look like a strong set. The Lotties are gorgeous. Pikachu, everyone loves Pikachu. It wasn't like a one card set like the Voltage where most people just wanted the Rainbow Pikachu. Although I love the Amazing Rares myself.
Yeah.
Um, so
But it
again,
was like
I
2 in every box, so and it was only
yeah,
6
it's too
total.
easy to pull. Yeah.
Too easy. Yeah.
So I do think Surging Sparks is going to be very in demand because of the printing situation, and yeah, there's a lot of misinformation out there. The reason why I wanted to talk about this is because we've owned a shop for more than 4 years, almost five
Right.
years now,
Yeah.
and this is information directly from distributors that we've talked to,
Yeah.
and the distributors told us that, well, this particular distributor told me the exact numbers of how many Stellar Crown versus
Oh.
Surging Sparks they got. So they got 7,000 boxes, booster boxes of Stellar Crown, and 2,800 of Surging Sparks.
Wow.
And he told me about the meeting with Pokemon and the big distributors or whatever. The sales for 2024 was down like 40% compared to previous years. So Pokemon ramped down the printing cycle and the numbers. They wanted to print less because they want to print to demand, right? There's a reason why Scarlet Violet era boxes are well below MSRP. If you don't know, MSRP is actually 161, and most of the boxes until
Mm-hmm.
recently have been selling for like in the low 100s. And I know some sets was below 100 at one point. So Pokemon, they decided to print less of Surging Sparks, not anticipating this bull market. And in the future, I don't think in the next 6 months they will be reprinting a lot of Surging Sparks because they've now ramped up the printers to print a lot of Prismatic Evolutions and the upcoming Team Rocket set. So I feel like the printers are going to be busy printing those sets because there's so much demand for them that Surging Sparks won't be reprinted until, well, maybe smaller quantities, but there won't be a heavy reprint of Surging Sparks until at the end of 2025. That is my guess. Obviously, this part is not confirmed, but what is
Yeah.
confirmed is the set is being short printed. The allocations did go down for 50%. A lot of people deny that. I don't know why.
Yeah.
It's absolutely the truth. That is the
Mhm.
driving force of the pre-sales going up to $133 on TCG Player. The
Yeah.
the print run is a lot lower, and shops are selling out. Like, you can't keep
Instantly.
this in stock. Like, most shops that are getting more stock, they're not buying it at wholesale anymore. They're buying it at like a discounted market price that's above wholesale to fulfill orders and to meet demand. Like, we get more Surging Sparks. It's not going to be at the $100 wholesale price that Canadian shops get it for. We're probably going to get it like 125, 130, 135. Like, that ship has sailed. So
Yeah.
you can't be sitting around if you want this set and thinking, hey, like, I'm just gonna wait for it to go down to 115 again, which is like kind of what we
It's not
charge
gonna
for
happen.
pre-orders. Even for this set, we charge people $112 USD a box for pre-orders, and then we realized we sold out all of it like in a day, and we're like, okay, we can't put any more because we don't
Right.
know how much more product we're gonna get. Our numbers was abysmal like when we got it. Like, we had like 40 boxes from one distributor and we sold out all of it. And the other distributor said, "Oh, your stuff is going to be delayed. You got to pay a little bit more." So we're like, hey, we're just not going to put out any more pre-orders. So if you want to open the set, try and buy it at around MSRP, but don't go crazy with it because there is no way they're not going to reprint this unless this turns into like a team up situation, which is they had two print runs scheduled, but then they canceled the other one to print Hidden Fates and never got back to printing it, which is why team up is one of the rarest boxes in modern Pokemon. But unless
That could
Surging
very ha
Spark,
Yeah,
yeah,
that could happen. That is a scary thing that could happen.
that could happen. But I'm thinking they're not gonna let it happen. But if it does happen, then yeah, for the people that bought a bunch of Surging Sparks, I mean, good for you.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's gonna be like this forever, just because I'm looking at the overall strength of the set. It's a good set, but at the end of the day, I don't think it's like a team up or an evolving skies. Prismatic Evolutions is gonna be, I think, the equivalent to Evolving Skies of Scarlet Violet, even though it's a specialty set.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, what I'm trying to say is the print run is very short for 2024, and don't expect the price to get any better until they do a massive reprint, which I don't think they have the capability or the capacity to do until well into 2025, if not 2026. So if they end up just never printing the set again, the prices are never gonna come down. It's just unfortunate. That's just where it is.
So, what is your prediction on how high this box will go
Well, I know
at
Rudy
the end
said
of
it's gonna be a $250 to $300 box within 3 months. I think
$200 box? Yeah.
it is heading. I think 200 it will hit for sure. So if you can buy it at 140, $150, I think you should buy it now. Um, but again, if you're buying it at 200 and $250 to speculate, I don't think that's a good idea because I think it's going to hit that point It's going to stay there for a while. And if there is a massive reprint like Vivid Voltage, you're going to get caught holding the bag, just like a lot of Vivid Voltage
True.
investors did. So I would say buy it at anything below MSRP, which is anything below 160. Buy as much as you want to hold and open with the money that you're okay with losing.
Yeah.
Don't go crazy and max out your credit card and
Don't
buy
do
surging
it.
sparks. But yeah, the thing is, it is short printed. So unless there is a reprint, I don't see there's any scenario where this set goes below MSRP at this point. It's impossible.
Yeah.
People love Pikachu, and
People
this is
love
a
Pikachu.
Pikachu
It's a
set.
mascot of Pokemon. But
Yeah,
there you have it. You know, you guys heard it from Jesse. He owns a brick and mortar store. I think it's a very valuable information and spectacular insights just to hear from an actual business owner instead of, an average, investor collector in the space that's making content about this. So yeah, it's very interesting because I've been hearing, that it is not short printed. Surprise, surprise. But hearing from you is more of a confirmation that
yeah.
I what we suspected, that this set is shorter
Yeah,
printed.
absolutely is. And it's just caught in that awkward time range where it's right before they planned this set right before the boom, or the 2024 boom, that I suspect will last well into 2025 and maybe into 2026, into the 30th anniversary, right? 30th anniversary.
Yeah,
This might be a
just gonna
sustained bull
keep
market.
going.
You know,
Yeah,
the decrease in interest rates and the super strong sets heading into the end of Scarlet Violet. I think now is like a good time to discuss, is Scarlet Violet a really great series? Like, are we comparing Scarlet Violet to Sword and Shield now? Some people say Sword and Shield is kind of like the peak Pokemon TCG series because
Mm,
of the consecutive strong sets towards the end of Sword and Shield, like Evolving Skies, Fusion Strike, Lost Origin, like all these Crown Zenith, all these crazy sets with amazing artwork, fan favorites. Now I think Scarlet Violet has a lineup of sets that's going to release going into the end of 2024 to 2025 that might rival Sword and Shield, because a lot of people were not, liking Scarlet Violet up until this point. They had a few lackluster sets in a row, and to the
yeah.
point where, like I mentioned, Pokemon decided to decrease the printing capacity for this set. But it sounds like it might be caught right in the middle, just like Team Up did right before the boom, where they just never got around to reprinting Team Up. Maybe Surging Sparks is going to be like Team Up, where they just never had the opportunity to reprint this super low short printed set. In that case, this will be like the diamond of this Scarlet Violet era, no matter how
Yeah.
strong the set is. But I want to be careful because some people are going to hear
Yeah.
this and they're going to be like,
Yeah,
"Oh,
yeah.
next Team Up,
Well,
mortgage
I
the
don't think
house."
anybody really made that association from all
Yeah.
the, contents I've seen, but that could be something there,
There
but
is some parallels, right? But
some,
we
yeah,
have to it's too early to make that call,
too early.
unless it's like 2 years down the road where there's still no reprints. Then you're like, "Oh, maybe that is the Team Up." Because once it's out of rotation, Pokemon has no reason to reprint that set ever again. So I would say in 2 years when it's out of rotation, if there still isn't a reprint, then yeah, that would be the Team Up of this generation. But I would still argue Team Up still has like some of the best artworks of all time, and still time will tell whether or not Surging Sparks will age the same as
Yeah,
Team Up. So I think it's too early to make that distinction, but there
it is
is some parallels.
some parallels, but yes,
Yeah,
to what you said earlier, yeah, the artwork to Scarlet and Violet with the crowns, um, I mean, it's just evolution lineup. The artwork are going to be absolutely amazing, and they knocked it out of the ballpark.
yeah. I actually didn't think the diamonds and the hats was that interesting until I saw some of these. It gives them a lot
Yeah,
of personality, like these evolutions, they look like that personality. I feel like some of the other ones earlier in Scarlet Violet didn't really show too much. They were like just shiny, like not even animal looking beings anymore. But I think
Oh, you mean the
yeah.
Tarabacos or
Yeah,
like
yeah.
you
Yeah,
don't even know
exactly.
where to look. Where's the
Yeah.
eyes?
Yeah, it's too shiny for me, but I feel like the evolutions, maybe I have a soft spot for evolutions 'cause we have a dog named Evie.
Yeah.
But I
No.
mean, I personally think it looks great. So many people online are saying it looks terrible. Well, I mean, I'm pretty sure the wallets will say differently. Everyone's gonna buy this set. I personally think it looks amazing. I really like Leafeon. I think the Leafeon looks a lot like my dog Raichu.
Yeah,
I think that's
very
probably
good.
my favorite artwork. But I know everyone's gonna go after the Umbreon. Of course,
For
people are
sure.
saying it's the next Moonbreon.
For
Um,
sure. I can't wait for more information to release about the set. That way we can learn a little bit more about the
uh,
other cards because there's going to be 32 plus SIRs
that's crazy.
for Prismatic Evolution and the Master Ball reverses. So
Yeah,
it's going to
think
be a
about all
crazy.
those things together. This set is OP, and I couldn't be
Crazy.
more bullish on any other set. Like the what if you think about the formula to a very successful Pokemon set, it's actually kind of counterintuitive. One of them has to be that the pull rates has to be low
Yeah.
because an example is Obsidian Flames. People love Charizard. I actually think the big Charizard of Obsidian Flames is a gorgeous card. But the reason why that set is not desirable is because the pull rates are way too high. I think there's only 3 or 4 SIRs in a lot of the Scarlet Violet sets. So because of the pull rates, every single one of them became super easy to pull. And values are just like stagnated because everyone grades everything now. So there's going to be like 20,000 PSA 10s of everything. And so in order to keep the pull rates low, you have to have a lot of the highest rarity tier. And that used to be alternate art, the secret rare alternate arts. It is now SIRs for Scarlet Violet series. So having 32 SIRs not only means we have a lot of amazing artwork, but every single one of these cards individually are going to be super tough to pull, which will drive the value up for this set because that means every single one of these cards is going to be expensive. And when there's a lot of expensive cards in a certain set, that means the set's going to be very desirable and very expensive. And also, not to mention, they put the reverse Master Balls into this set. Like, that is crazy because I
Ooh.
feel like that was the main differentiator for the Japanese 151 when it first came out. Is if you don't pull something really amazing, you have the opportunity to pull a Master Ball version of that card. And you know, the Master Ball for the Umbreon or any specific evolution is going to be very low because there's so many different cards you can pull from. So
Yeah,
the
exactly.
combination of these two is going to make the set, in my opinion, probably one of the most desirable sets in the last 5 years.
So you're super bullish on this set.
Super bullish on this set.
What
And
is your game plan as a business owner? How are you going to are you going to hold some? Are you going to sell at
yeah,
like a certain price point? Is there a plan kind of heading into it sort of? Can you tell us a little bit
we're
about
still trying to harass everybody for more
Mhm.
products, and we're calling up our distributors. I gave one of my distributors a earful. Hey, we supported you for 4 years. Anytime you tell us there's a bunch of product you can't sell, we bought them all in order to get more products. So we helped you out. You got to
Does
help
that
us
work?
out. Didn't really work. I feel like I got scammed. And like, he's a
That's
friend of mine, so I can say he probably watches this. Hey, Wilson, what are you doing? Every time you had a shop that needs to be bought out, we bought out the shop with, what do you call it? The battle tournament, battle decks, and the player academy, whatever
Yeah,
stuff that
all
we
the stuff no
know
one
are
wants.
bricks. So we did a lot of buying of products that distributors can't sell to get more product when it's hot. And they haven't delivered on their end of the promise. So I'm calling up everybody and even some of the US shops to sell us quantities, bulk quantities for a slightly discounted price, which I found was easier for Surging Sparks at the time because I reached out really early. We bought a bunch for around $570 a case, which is a really good price USD, and talk to the same people about prismatic evolutions. They're like, yeah, we're just not doing that anymore because they realize they don't need to sell them in bulk quantities. They can sell everything at
Yeah,
market price in a minute
it's
if they
already
wanted
sold
to.
out. It
Yeah.
sold out on Pokemon Center within 10 hours. I got a notification. I turned around like 10 minutes later. It was all sold out for the booster
Yeah.
bundles.
I gotta
It's
say
just
though, for the
crazy.
Pokemon Center exclusive ETBs, if you can get any at $50, that is like that is a set that you need to max out your credit card to buy because
You max out your credit card for
yeah,
that.
yeah, this is what I'm saying. Like, this is Okay, well, I know we're not financial advisors, but
No,
let's
no.
say you can buy as many prismatic evolutions Pokemon Center ETBs at 49.99. You need to buy as many as you can
Well, the
because
problem is you can't because
yeah,
they're
you can.
limiting.
Which is good. Like, I want more
Yeah.
people to buy it, but that's the set that I'm saying. I'm not saying FOMO, but that's such a great price point. And historically, these popular sets, the Pokemon Center exclusive ETBs for these popular sets have performed tremendously well. So it's honestly a no-brainer. It's literally like a meal ticket that the Pokemon is handing out to you
Free
guys. So if you can get more of those,
free
I would
money.
say get more of those. And for the regular ETBs too, if you can get any at MSRP, you should absolutely buy it. It's not like 2023 where you're trying to buy everything at $35 or $40 in ETB. If I think MSRP is like what is it like $60? Yeah, something like
50 USD
yeah.
on GameStop and Best Buy right now. They're currently available for pre-orders, but
Yeah.
um I think a lot of people's orders are also getting canceled if you
Yeah,
order too
yeah.
much. Like if you order 10, like a case, GameStop is going to cancel your order, and then Best Buy is limiting everyone to 4, I believe. So there's definitely a limitation placed, and
That's
so
the other thing. So I'm pretty sure distribution doesn't even know their numbers currently um, for prismatic evolution. Anyone that's selling pre-orders right now is using the hype train to kind of like um, do some manipulation with the funds and maybe try and pay some bills, getting a free loan from their customers. So I watch out on placing pre-orders right now because I've talked to distribution and their numbers aren't out yet. So
yeah,
obviously, most shops are like, "Hey, I'm gonna get at least like a few
that
cases, so I can sell a few cases and kind of like pay for my inventory or pay the bills, like pay my employees now." But they're just using it as a free loan. We never do that. CJ and I, we will only put pre-orders up on the site when we have confirmed numbers, and we only like sell maybe 20% or 30% of our entire stock on pre-orders because we want to keep some in the shop. So we never we well I understand some people are not in the same financial situation as us, so maybe they need to use a pre-order to fulfill some of their current
yeah.
things and pay the bills, and that's fair enough. But from a consumer standpoint, I would say hold off on pre-ordering right now because most distributors don't have their numbers yet, so it's impossible for a shop to know for sure how many of these they're gonna get.
Yeah. I mean, there's some reliable shops like, big box retailer that you can,
Yeah.
trust, like GameStop or Game Nerds that also had their pre-orders up for like 45
Mhm.
dollars. And so I think the big box retailers are a safe
Yeah.
bet, but I feel
Yeah.
like for a small like online shop, I think it's a little bit risky because you're just parking your money there, and
Yeah.
what's going to happen to that? We
Also,
don't
the
know.
shops have every like they can hold off on shipping your product, and they can choose to cancel your product saying they're out of stock, and then the next day you see on their site for like $85 because that's what the market price is. Like they can do all of that if they're not a reputable shop. So really don't order the cheapest product. Find reputable shops that don't have a history or have a good track record of not doing that. That's really important. A lot of people get burned because they just go on eBay or they just go on the internet and Google and find the cheapest possible pre-order price. If you're ordering from those sites, you're probably going to get canceled.
Yep.
So find reputable sources like Pokemon, like Brian. He's a
Yep.
trustworthy source. Like
Yep.
Danny Phantom, like all these. If you want to order now, you order from these reputable people, not just the cheapest available site.
Exactly. I just watched Danny Phantom today, and he said he hasn't gotten his allocation number for Prismatic Evolution. So he
Yeah,
thinks in the next few weeks he'll get the numbers and
yeah.
probably put them up. So yeah, I
Oh,
think
really? So he said he hasn't got so it's
no,
not
he
just
hasn't.
us not getting it.
No,
If
no,
Danny
not you.
Phantom hasn't gotten it,
Yeah,
it's
yeah, he's
it's
big
true.
for it. So just
Yeah,
be careful out there. But my approach to this is that I did pre-order a few with the big box retailers such as GameStop because they don't charge you until they ship anyway. So there's no risk
yeah.
placing your order.
That's true. Yeah, order from GameStop, big box retailers, or reputable companies. And honestly, if it's under MSRP or at not under, maybe at MSRP, I think it's a good buy because this set is going to be so desirable to open, to hold, to invest, to display. Um, I'm so bullish on this set that I'm going to sound like an investor, bro, but but it's
Me
got
too.
everything going for it. It's got everything going for it. I'm so excited, honestly, for 2025. Even though, like, I'm not excited to see my numbers 'cause I'm probably gonna cry. But no matter how much we get from distributors, we're gonna hold some back for us to keep, in
Yeah,
our storage, um, just in case, like 10 years from now, we want to open this set again with our kids and stuff like that. Uh,
exactly.
yeah, it looks like such an amazing set. Can't wait.
Yeah. Do you remember Champion's Path, the specialty set? When the ETB came out right out the gate, it was like $100 at
Yeah.
release day, and like I couldn't even get any at MSRP at all. Like I think I paid more than
Yeah.
I should have. And I don't know what's going to happen with Prismatic Evolution, but from the way that things are looking, I think if it sells out, release date is in January. So if everything sells out, it could very well be parallel to
Mm,
Champion's Path, $100 at release date. So
yeah, I agree. Very well could be that. But I really think it's a very strong set. Unlike Champions Path, which is known as like one of the most underwhelming specialty sets in the Sword and Shield era because it's so Charizard heavy. Other than I don't know if you remember, we call it like Machampion's Wrath or something because it's Machamp Hollow every time you open a pack.
oh gosh,
That set was miserable to open, but again,
hate.
the fundamentals of this set is just amazing. It's like Evolving Skies releasing during the hype of the Champions Path timeline, which I believe was released in August of 2020 or September of 2020, something like
Yeah,
that, right?
yeah, yep,
Yeah.
around there.
That,
Yeah,
but so I would say the prices will be similar. But the set is shares
way
no
different.
parallel to Champions Path. It's so much better. I can't wait to because 32 SIRs. We already seen 9 of them being EV and evolutions. I'm excited to see what the other ones are. I'm not so much a trainer person, so I don't really like trainer heavy sets.
Yeah,
But
me
if
neither.
there's gonna be other like very strong Pokemon SIRs, I'm gonna be even more excited. But even with just the evolutions, if you think about it, I love a set where I have a few chase cards, but even if I don't pull the chase cards that I'm after, I can still pull like let's say 10 or 15 of the other cards that I'll be excited about. That's what I'll be super happy. And hopefully it's not as bad in terms of pull rates as Evolving Skies.
Yeah.
But I don't think it is, and it doesn't have to be because any single SR doesn't have to be super. I mean, pulling an SIR shouldn't be that hard, but pulling a single SR should be super hard, which that makes me super excited because if you do pull that Umbreon, you'll be so much more excited and it's gonna be so rewarding. But at the same time, you can pull a bunch of other stuff that you're gonna be happy about too.
Yeah. So with this bull market currently running straight to the moon, how do you think it's different from the boom from 2020? Are there like more similarities or there are some differences as
I
well?
think there is a lot of differences. First of all, during this boom, there's a lot more. I know when people hear like a bull market, they immediately associate it with a bubble, but that couldn't be
Mhm.
further from the truth because I feel like it's way more organic this time around. There isn't like a stimulus package that the government sent to every household back in 2020. There isn't
Yeah.
like a crazy event where like a Logan Paul led celebrity um like influx of celebrities in 2020 where everyone was streaming and brought everyone back. Um, I see this as a shop owner, not just as a collector, because people have been coming in ever since the release of 151. Like people that came in and told us, hey, like I found my old collection. I want to sell my old collection because I need some money. And then the moment we give them an offer, they're like, okay, I'll trade it for some 151. We're like, wait, you want to get out of Pokemon or not? Like,
What is that?
yeah, I want 151. So there's a lot of organic growth. And CJ and I just moved shops. Obviously, we had a tremendous year.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but it's not just us. every Pokemon shop in Vancouver that I know of has expanded into a new location in the last
Oh,
3 months.
amazing.
Yeah, so there's a lot of organic growth in terms of people coming back into the hobby through 151. The CTO of my new tech company, well, the potential CTO, he's around our age as well, and he's like, "Oh, I don't collect Pokemon, but I opened some 151." I was like, What does that mean?" He's like, "Oh,
Yeah.
I'm at my office and everyone's opening 151, so I don't really collect cards, but I opened some 151." And now he's like interested in other cards too. So that's why 151 is such a significant set. It brought so many people back, and there isn't an event that happened in the last few months that really drove this crazy bull market. A lot of it is genuine organic interest, and a lot of it obviously is the economy being like, people are saying the impending bull market in crypto, and obviously the interest rates lowering, and there's a lot of
Yeah.
external factors, but there's a lot of organic growth as well. So it feels fundamentally different from the 2020 and 2021 boom, but again, like I said, it's always cyclical. It's never, no bull market is going to last forever. If you're sitting here thinking Pokemon will do this until the end of time, then you probably need to do something else with your money, or get out of investing in general, because it's not going to be like that. It's going to be like this and like this. Overall, we see the growth because the strength
Mhm.
of the hobby is growing. But I do feel like it's fundamentally different from 2020. But also because of the crazy strong lineup of sets is coming out in 2025. And we know Pokemon's got something up their sleeves for the 30th anniversary in 2026. I actually think this is going to be extended bull run that lasts well beyond the next 6 to 12 months. That might go into 2026, depending on obviously
Wow.
how the economy is. So I
Yeah.
actually think this will be extended to like maybe the middle part of 2026
I
because of the
I
30th anniversary.
I totally agree that I think 2024 is more organic compared to 2020. And there's also other external factors that came into play with like the big box retailers such as Walmart and GameStop entering the collectible space.
Mhm.
I think it's something that will continue to play a huge role as one of the catalysts for the upward momentum of this boom. And there also has been like more live selling platforms that enter the scene, such as like Fanatics Live, eBay Live, and then more recent than TikTok and whatnot. But the rip culture of pack openings has completely taken over the scene, and I think the cultural shift has brought in many interested consumers, like your friend opening 151 because probably he saw someone else open 151. It's very fun and engaging, and so social media is undeniably like influential in playing this part
Yeah.
to the boom.
Yeah, and I also talked about it with another person that was not so much a Pokemon collector. And he's asked me, he's like, "Hey, Pokemon has already seen its peak. Like it's already so expensive. I don't think there's much upside to the future of Pokemon investing because it's already so expensive. How much higher can you go?" So I kind of like every time I hear that sentiment, one of the things that I want people to think about is, first of all, Pokemon is a generational thing for the 90s kids like us. Like every
Mhm.
single person that grew up in the 90s, well, I mean, was born in the 90s, grew up in the early 2000s like us, had nostalgia for Pokemon. Like everyone knows Pikachu, Charizard. Everybody that's around our age has positive memories associated with Pokemon, right? Everybody our age wants to collect Pokemon of some sort. So if you look at some of the other hobbies that's been around longer, like the sports cards, like the baseball cards, for example, comic books, Action Comic One just sold for 6.5 million, BGS 8.5. No, not BGS, CGC 8.5. Like the Honus Wagner card would be like 50 million if it ever sold, because the people that are in their 70s. Let's think about all the billionaires that exist in the world today. There's around
Mhm.
3,000 of them. The average age is like 69.6, like around 70 years old.
Interesting.
Every billionaire in the world wants like the action, like the AC1, for example, the really expensive sports cards that are in the tens of millions of dollars. Think about 20 years from now when every billionaire in the world is a 90s kid, like 20, 30, 40 years from now. Imagine when every billionaire in the world is a 90s kid. What would
Yeah.
we pay for? Like, what would we pay where would we spend our millions?
Wow, I
We're gonna
never
put it
thought that far, but yeah,
Yeah,
wow, that's
we're
a
gonna
very
put
good
it in
point.
Charizards, right? Like, we're gonna
Yeah.
put it in Charizards, Rayquaza, Eevee, Umbreon, like,
Oh,
it's
I believe it.
unfortunate. Some people think it's ridiculous, like, why would an 80-year-old wanna buy that? Why would an 80-year-old wanna buy that AC1? Like, why would that's part of their childhood, and
Yeah.
part of ours. There's nothing bigger than Pokemon. Pokemon's bigger than all of those things combined,
That's
right?
so powerful, yeah, to think
In
about.
30 to 40 years, when every single billionaire in the world is a 90s kid, where do you think that money is gonna go?
I do
Yeah,
believe that Pokemon is gonna be around for
yeah,
decades and decades. I mean, it's already been
yeah,
around for, like, over
yeah.
2,
In us having a
almost 3.
shop, one of the great things is we have a very good understanding or our feeling of the pulse of the hobby, and which
Yeah.
is we see people from all ages come to our shop and come to the shows that we organize, and
Right.
we've seen genuine excitement and love and passion in the kids that are born in the 2010s. The same fire that I see in their eyes as I had 20 years ago. I don't know if you've seen that video of Noah when we gave away the Moonbryon, right?
Oh my
No,
gosh, that
he was
Moonbryon.
screaming. He was like, we were at the card show. There's so many little kids. We're walking around asking people. Oh, this is another funny thing. So I don't know if I shared this with you yet, but again, I'm a boomer too because I'm a vintage over modern guy. Okay, that's what I
Yeah.
like. I like this type of stuff, right? I'm
Mhm.
not an alt art fan, even though I collect all of them. But in my head, I'm like, hey, like WotC, like vintage rules, way better than your alt art too. But I was arguing with Zach and Gem and Pokemon and Shiv and Caleb, all those guys. I was like, hey, I know how kids feel nowadays because I put my pristine Rayquaza Gold Star, my first edition Charizard Tag 10 with the Moonbryon Black Label. And you know what? Every kid that walks by don't even notice all the other cards. They go crazy. They go like Black Label Moonbryon. What? Oh, Moonbryon. That's what they say, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, hey, Zach, if you think the Moonbryon is all hype and kids don't really care about it, why don't you walk around with a first edition Charizard and a Moonbryon and see which one kids prefer? And they're like, oh, there's no way. No, it's a Charizard. And then so Zach pulled out his number 4 trainer, um, world champ. It's like a $40,000 card, right? So
Uh-huh.
he's like, people will choose the Moonbryon over this thing. This is 40,000. This is 2,000. This is 1,500. I was like, absolutely. So they did a test. They walked around the Van City Card Show, asked every kid, if you can have one of these cards, would you have this card or this card? Everybody picked the Moonbryon. Isn't that crazy?
Because these kids don't know the value of the number 4
Yeah,
trainer. They don't
I would
understand.
argue kids are the purest form of collectors because they
True.
don't care about the value. They just
They
like the
don't.
card.
Yeah, the
And every
artwork.
single one of these kids is picking the Moonbryon over something that's 50, 100 times more expensive. That means like that is going to be the future base set Charizard of this generation. And again, we're going back to the Moonbryon argument again. We can talk about the rise of that because
Yeah,
I've changed my mind so many times over this card. I've been telling people to stop buying them because there's too many of them printed and too many of them in PSA 10s. But every time we talk about it, it stagnates for a few months and boom, it comes all the way back up.
it's so crazy. I
Yeah,
mean, just look at the last sales. I think last time, maybe about just a month or so ago, it was like down to 1,200, right?
yeah,
Around USD.
yeah,
And now it's slowly trending upward to 15, 1,600 with multiple sales that are confirmed in auction houses.
yeah. One thing I gotta say though, the PSA 10 prices will, the PSA 10 population will continue to go up. One of the reasons is PSA being super lenient on the grading of modern cards because the corners and edges and the surface are good for modern cards. It's mainly the centering that has problems, and PSA is super lenient on centering, 60-40 in the front and 75-25 is center in the back. I've in the past few months have cracked maybe 12 PSA 9s and graded PSA 10s. So
Yeah.
they're
That
it's
happens
that
a
number
lot.
is going to continue to grow because of this issue with these grading card company, like these grading companies. And I'm not trying to run an ad on tag here, but the PSA 10 number will continue to grow because number one, there's a lot of these cards out there. Number two is people will just keep regrading the 9s until they get 10s, and unfortunately, most of them will eventually get 10s.
Yep,
So I
that is
still think
true.
the PSA 10s are not a good investment long term. I don't think it's ever going to be like a $500 card again, but I don't see much upside beyond the $2,000 mark, which is what I said 3 months ago. I still maintain that same sentiment. I don't think this card will have any momentum beyond, well, I mean, it's who knows what's going to happen. Crazier things have happened, but I don't
Well,
think it will ever be a $3,000-$4,000 card. I think it'll stay around 1,500 to 2,000 for the rest of my life.
well,
But
recently it was just selling for 1,800, which is I
yeah, we're
thought
getting
was
close to that
crazy.
$2,000 mark, right?
Yeah, closer.
But I'm just saying there's way too many of these. I do think
Yeah,
that the more rare variants, like the CGC Pristine 10s and the black labels and the tag Pristine 10s, like these higher like graded pristine examples of this card will have
yeah,
tremendous upside just because everyone wants this card. But I just think the PSA 10s are way too available. It's 14,000 copies and counting. In a few years, it's going to be 25,000 copies. Like, I just don't see it. I just don't see it going any higher than this. But
yeah.
you, you never know because every kid in this generation sees Moonbrown like the way that we saw first edition Charizard. So,
They all want
you
it.
know, maybe
That's
they
just,
when they have
demand.
adult money, it'll go even higher, but that's gonna take a long time. So I would chill out on the Moon Brown buys. Like every time we record the show, I would
Every
chill out on the PSA 10 Umbreons.
I would actually sell, like, my
Yeah,
my move would be to actually auction these off or sell them at this period
yeah,
of
it's
time.
it's as liquid as gold. So the moment you list it, the moment you sell it. We actually sold a few Moonbreons in the shop for like around 1,400 because we forgot to update the prices. Um, but yeah, there's
Whoops.
a couple people came in and bought them all, and I was like, oh damn, we just forgot to update the prices because it moved so
They
quickly.
move so fast, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
speaking of, like, fast movers, all the alt arts have been moving, like the Gengar V, alt art, it was going for 550 to maybe, like, 600 not too long ago, like, 3 or 4 weeks ago, and now it's, like, 700.
Yeah.
I
Again,
mean,
these are some of the coolest artworks in Pokemon TCG history. That's why the Sword and Shield era is so loved. But again, there are some of the most highly available cards in the PSA 10 condition that I just
seriously.
I think they're very liquid and it's looks crazy high right now, but I still don't see how it's gonna get much higher than this. But then like we've been wrong so many times.
You
Um,
just don't know with all the little kids with all these high demands and I guess parent money,
yeah.
they're able to
No, it's that's kind of crazy because I don't think kids have the budget to buy $1,000 cards, but the parents are driving it. I would say that's the main thing, but the kids want it and the parents will buy it. I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I know that all these arts are just going up, so I'm just going to like liquidate or sell all of my alt arts
Wow, that's
because I
actually
think
a very
because
good.
because I think right now is for me personally, I think I can just sell them and then I can buy them in at a lower price point
Hmm.
later on.
Yeah, I think that's a disciplined investor and collector making the right decisions. This is an emotional decision for a lot of people, like myself included. I don't sell as much, and that's one of my problems. Like I never sell, but like in my head, the right thing to do is exactly what you're saying: timing the market and selling it at the height. Like right now during a bull market, we haven't really talked about the selling aspect of it.
Yeah.
I do think selling your alt arts and selling your some of your modern sealed collection right now is is actually a pretty good play because it's it's not just about the prices, but about liquidity as well. There's a lot of liquidity and a lot of people that are looking to buy um, Evolving Skies booster boxes, for example. There's a lot of people that are looking to buy Moonbrowns and Gengar alt arts right now. So even if you look at the price, you're like, hey, maybe in a few years, it's not gonna be, you're not gonna see a huge decrease, or it might be slightly higher, but there's not gonna be as many people in the market looking for these things.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be it's gonna be more popular in 5 to 10 years, but right now it's they're so liquid and so easy to sell that I think it's a no-brainer. If you can get full market price for some of these products, you should absolutely sell some of your position. Unless this is something that's special to you, you want to keep in your PC.
Yeah.
But yeah, selling it and buying it back in a few years, I think that's a great move.
Yeah, and the high pop reports on these cards, I can easily get them back at some point. It's not gonna be a problem for
Yeah.
me to find another copy. It's not that rare.
Yeah, it's not, and it's never gonna get more rare. It's not like sealed product where once you rip a first edition base box, there's one less of it on the market. There's never gonna be one less of your PSA 10 Moonbryon. There's too many of
Yeah.
them. That's why, like I
Yeah.
mentioned, there's so many people that said the ship has sailed on this. I'm never gonna get it. In my opinion, the ship is gonna come back, or the ship is gonna stay there, and you're gonna get to the ship one day. Like it's never like gone and you can't reach it forever. Like these cards are
Yeah.
so widely available. It's a good and bad thing. The good thing is for the average collector, I really think if you really want the card, it's at a price point where it's expensive, but you can still realistically make a goal and reach it. And I think it's never gonna be so expensive where it's unattainable, especially in the PSA 10 condition because pop is too high. But for the investors that are hoping to buy a PSA 10 Moonbryon at 1,800 bucks and hoping to have it pay for their kid's college fund one day, that's
Oh,
never
no.
going to happen. It's never
No.
going to happen. Don't
No.
compare it to the first edition Charizards and the stuff that's back in the day with super low pop. It's never gonna happen.
No. I agree with you, totally on that. Alright. Well, congratulations on your new shop and moving into a whole new location, bigger space for everyone. You're gonna be doing, like, more video and grand introduction of the new shop?
Yeah, we're gonna have like a grand opening once we have like all our signage up because we're actually changing the name from Van City Pokemon to Van City CJ Trading Cards. Just
Nice.
because Pokemon won't give us a Play Store when we have Pokemon in the name. They're like a copyright infringement or something.
Oh,
So we're
okay.
just gonna call it Van City CJ Trading Cards because everyone just knows us as either Van City or like, oh, we're gonna go to CJ. So
Yeah.
um,
That's
yeah,
awesome. Well,
we're gonna have everything
congratulations.
set up and yeah, have a grand opening probably next week. And so super excited about that. It's um I don't know if you saw, but it was such an emotional day when we moved from our tiny little
I
shop because
saw.
that shop, like we have for 4.5 years, was pretty much the only constant in our lives in the last 4 years. And so many things has changed. We went through so many ups and downs. Said goodbye to so many different people, like businesses, like things that we went through over the 4 years is pretty crazy. It's more than probably what I went through in the first 27, 6 years of
Mm,
my life.
no.
And that shop was like the only constant. It's like I knew I could just go there and chill with our friends, and it was like kind of like a place where we can escape. It was so
Mhm.
special, and CJ spent like more time at the shop than she did with me because she goes there every day. So you could see when we turned off the lights for the final time, like she was emotional. I didn't actually capture. I have it on my phone. We're not gonna post it, but like
That's
some of our
fun.
friends were crying harder than CJ.
Oh,
Like it was like hard, ugly sobbing, like all of us because of how much like that first tiny little shop will always be the special one because we moved into this new place which is double the size of our previous place, but we're actually already buying another building that's going to be our next shop in a year because we're expanding so quickly. We're probably going to need more office space as well for other sides of our collectibles business that I mentioned. So this next one is so much bigger and but we're probably going to grow out of it within like 6 to 12 months. But the first one, even though it's the smallest, will forever hold a very special place in our hearts.
All the good memories and the people
Yeah,
you've met and the friendships you created,
yeah,
the card
all,
openings made it extra super special.
yeah. All the Hey CJ videos in that tiny little
Oh my
shop,
gosh. I can't wait to see more in the new shop. Hey,
Yeah.
CJ videos.
Yeah, we can't wait too. We have a whole content strategy thing lined up too. Over the past like month, we've been so busy that we just couldn't pump out the number of content that we wanted to. But we're gonna hire more people and have a whole content team behind some of the stuff. Obviously, I'll be part of the creative direction, but we're gonna have a lot more content moving forward into 2025 with CJ, and I feel like it's going to be super exciting. I can't
I'm
wait.
excited.
It's a bittersweet moment. It's better because we had to say goodbye to such an important part of our lives, but we also are super excited for what lies ahead, and it coincides with this tremendous opportunity of this Pokemon bull market. So,
Yeah.
yeah, we're all super excited and also kind of like nervous to navigate through this, but hopefully we're going to have enough products and inventory moving into 2025 because it's going to be a challenge for all the shops the same way it is a challenge for collectors.
Yes. Yes,
Yeah.
definitely. Well, thank you so much for sharing all your stories. And I can't wait to see what's next. I mean, I am super excited for you guys and also the Pokemon hobby as a whole. Do you have anything else you would like to add before we end our episode?
I just think the most important thing is to stay positive. See see the opportunity of this bull market as positive and navigate through it. Like Sun said, there's a lot of things that we can do in terms of selling some of the stuff that we have now and then finding gaps in the market where it's still undervalued to buy products that we want to rip for a cheaper price. Don't follow the hype and honestly just stay positive. Don't be just be supportive of one another, the collectors and and the investors and the business owners. Like we're all part of this hobby because we're driven by passion that we have. So don't be negative when the hobby is going good. I feel like there's a lot of organic growth that we need to embrace. Don't gatekeep the new people from coming in because we've been a part of that before, where when CJ was being discriminated as a new like female shop owner in the hobby. Welcome the new people in with open arms. Stay positive. Say goodbye to all the victim mentality stuff that we talked about before. There's plenty of opportunity and plenty of product to go around. Don't trip over each other and beat people up Costco for some Pokemon product.
Yeah,
It's honestly not that important. So
exactly.
just stay positive and support one another and enjoy this hobby. It's the best time ever. I really think right now it's better than 2020, 21. It's better than the down market in 2022, 2023. It's honestly the best time in the hobby. So just enjoy it and enjoy it with positivity. And again, remind yourselves of why you're buying the things that you're buying.
Yep.
If you didn't buy it when it was cheap, you probably don't really like it. Don't buy it because of the hype. Buy it because you want to buy. And I think that's what I want
I
people
love
to
that.
take away from our episode.
I love that. Stay positive, everyone, and help each other out. And stay
Yeah.
tuned for the next episode. And thank you, everybody, for watching. And thank you, Jesse.
Yeah.
And very quickly, this podcast is brought to you by Slabmags. Slabmags are super stylish, all-around slab protectors that offers 100% UV protection. The website is now back online with a fresh new layout that's super easy to navigate. So make sure to check out slabmags.com today.